Joining me today is established author and climber Joanna Croston. She's also an avid cyclist and skier. She's here to talk about her incredible sports background and the book Mountaineering Women Climbing Through History. I'm just excited to speak with you, Joanna. And how are you?
I'm really well. Thanks for the invitation to join you, Christine.
Yeah.
Delighted to be here.
Yes, you're also the director of the Banff Mountain Film Festival, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. I'm actually here in Vancouver, visiting the Vancouver International Mountain Film Festival. But yes, I'm the director of Banff.
My goodness, it's like a family, right? The
It
festival.
is.
Yes. You've been your passion for film and books. When did that start for you, Joanna?
Yeah. Well, my book passion started very early in life. I come from a family who is very pro book. So I was reading when I was 5 years old or so, and by the time I was in my teens, I was reading Hemingway and like lots of the classics and things. And so that's kind of how I was brought up, actually. But my interest in the combination of mountain culture and books came after I did an outdoor skills course in the Canadian Rockies. So I learned
Oh,
safety and climbing and all kinds of mountaineering skills and things. So I kind of learned how to merge those two things, and I discovered this genre of books which is called mountain literature, which I really didn't have a great sense of before. But there's a whole genre and a whole tome of work that is just based around climbing, mountaineering, exploration, really remote adventure travel and things. And so once you kind of get a taste of that, you kind of get sucked in. And so I did. And then the love of films has been around for a long time too, but I really started my work at the festival steeped in books. And then as I sort of advanced through the career ladder, film programming was added to my responsibility and so on. So I've really the film part has evolved a little differently than the book part.
yes, I should have put
Mm-hmm.
adventure because climbing, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it takes a skill and you say you took the course, but have you always loved the outdoors? Like, did climbing come first and then skiing and cycling or cyclists? You're a cyclist as well.
Yeah, yeah. No, I grew up in Ontario actually, and
Yes.
my family was big into camping in the summer and skiing in the winter, and so really skiing came first. And then as I said, did that course at West, but I had a little taste of rock climbing in my university days. I went to the University of Western Ontario, and I think one of the very first climbing gyms in the country must have been there because this was in the 90s, and I don't really know of very many climbing gyms that were around, but that's how I got started was in a climbing gym. And then, and then took this course at West and then eventually moved at West. And so it kind of happened. But really, the love of outdoors started with skiing and sailing, actually, and camping
Yeah.
in Ontario. Yeah. Mhm.
You're so multi-talented and with
Oh,
your
thanks.
incredible sports background and your writing too has appeared in various publications like Gripped.
Mhm.
It's like you have the best of both worlds, if I may say. I would say the arts, the sports, and directing, being the director of the Banff Mountain Film Festival and presentations as well, because you gave a talk, right, at the film festival and I missed it. So
It was really nice. It was really well received here in Vancouver, and I was really delighted. One of the climbers in the book was there with me. Her name's Lynn Hill. She's quite a famous American climber, and so she's been very gracious, and she's done a couple of these book events with me. But it was really an inspiring evening, and a lot of young women in the crowd, which is really terrific because part of the purpose of my book was to share stories of women climbers who the new generation may not have heard about. And so it was really nice to see that affirmation that they're interested in it, actually. So it was really great. It was a great evening. I'm sorry you missed it, but
yeah, so be another time.
yes,
But
exactly.
but for sure, congratulations on your book. I mean, so it's celebrating 20 women in the book, and how did you select the women? Like they've climbed, like you've climbed 11,000, but it's 20,000 perhaps. Is that right?
So my climbing's been mostly in the Rockies, which is,
Well,
in terms of altitude, is quite a bit lower than the Himalaya, for example, or even the Alps. There's quite a few peaks in the Alps that are taller. Um, but yeah, these women, they come from a variety of backgrounds actually, and a variety of eras too. So I try to mix some historical climbs and women who were known in the past decades with ones who are climbing today, and I really was searching for that balance of just different types of women in different countries and from different backgrounds. So yeah, it was a pretty interesting challenge to pick 20 because I had a list of about 80 people that I wanted to, or I could have written about, and I had to really narrow it down. And so it ended up being, as I said, picking people at different stages of their life in different parts of the world and different styles of climbing. So I kind of created this, um, hopefully, balance of all those things. And yeah, because, 20 of writing about 20 women, I could have written just about Mount Everest alone, right? And so I really had to think about some other types of climbing in different parts of the world. So,
yes, no, it's
mhm.
wonderful. And like the illustration is illustrations, and I mean, the women are, it's a book that is, you told it, right? I don't think is there any other book like it, Joanna?
There's been a couple of books over the years that are,
Mm.
collections of women's stories, but a couple of them are out of print, and so you're sort of hard pressed to get your hands on them. And the ones I'm thinking of have both been written by men too, interestingly enough. And so I feel like this is the first one that's been written by a woman. That's not like a memoir or a single story, right? And you can find little collections of women's stories, but typically they're more adventure based. There's very few rock climbing or just mountaineering collections of women's stories, and so it feels like a one of a kind right now. And I hope it encourages women to write a bit more and to tell their stories a little bit more. But one of the questions I've been asked at the book events I've been doing is, when's part two? And
Yes.
or when's the sequel? And I would like to take a few breaths before I start into another one. But there's certainly enough material to write several volumes, which is really great, actually. So, mhm.
Yes. I mean, it's raw. It's from the heart, and these women have different reasons for climbing. And can you share with our viewers what are some of the reasons that some of the women have decided to take on this, incredible climb? And it's not for everyone, but it's so inspirational that it transfers to other areas in other women's lives.
Yeah, I think it's like any sport, really. I mean, if someone's a marathon runner or a
Yes.
cross country skier at an Olympic level or something, a lot of it is about overcoming personal obstacles. And I think that's what this is too. And there's, this commonality between all the stories, which is that people really find themselves, discover themselves in these mountain places. And I guess for some folks, it's enough to just go hike and look at beautiful vistas. But for other people, just, like everybody's different. And so
Mhm.
some people really need to physically challenge themselves. And I think that's the primary purpose of most of these expeditions for these women, which is a different, I think, reason than maybe why men have climbed over the decades. A lot of men were part of big national expeditions that were trying to do something first, and it was very prominently, sort of put in the media, and there was this kind of sense of accomplishment that would have represented a nation. And so the women in my book, it's a little bit different. I think most of them would say to you, that this is about their personal journey and not about publicity or doing something on behalf of a nation. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. So how did it feel when it
Mhm.
was published? You're like, wow, it's a process.
Yeah, it sure is. It felt really great actually, and I really enjoyed the process of getting to that place where we were ready to publish. You mentioned the illustrations in my book, and those are by a climber as well. Her name's Tessa Lyons, and she lives in the UK. And it was wonderful to work with her because she created these, sort of mountain portraits, one per chapter that was connected to the
Wow.
chapter. So that was really fun part of the process. And then of course doing the interviews with the climbers was amazing because I got to know them a little bit. Of course, not all the climbers are still alive, so I had to do some research and work with some of the families for those climbers who've sadly passed on. But yeah, the process was really interesting, really great. Really enjoyed every moment of it, and I, because of the joys of Zoom, I guess I don't know if I can say that, but it was actually pretty easy to get firsthand interviews because I could do them remotely, right? So um, maybe the other writers who in the past who've tried to sort of collect these stories would have been more challenged because they would have had to fly around and meet people and would have been a lot more intensive, right? So I feel pretty lucky that I knew some of these women too from my job and from my work, and so it was easy to connect with them and do the interviews. So yeah.
Yes, and the feedback has been great. Like, oh, this is you were saying young women were there at the presentation, and that's inspiring for younger women to take on this journey and to because it's incredible what I look at when I see. I'm thinking, well, it maybe not for me, but as I said earlier, it can transfer to you mentioned marathon running, right? Like it's very a role models is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I hope that my book speaks to just everyday people doing their things in life too, because, I think we can all relate to that sort of human condition of overcoming obstacles, right? And this book is really about that. So you don't necessarily need to be a climber to enjoy those stories. I've tried to make a point of explaining like the technical nature of the climbing so that someone who doesn't climb can understand it.
Yes.
Which is, I had to sort of step out of my own skin a little because I'd have to go back and go, oh, did what I just wrote something? Would someone who's never climbed before understand what I've just said? So that, was very pointed strategy and style to make sure that we could make the book accessible for lots of people. And so, I hope, young mothers or people who are at home can read the book and find inspiration too, even just to get out their back door a little bit. You don't have to climb Mount Everest to enjoy the book.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Joanna?
I'm not sure when you're airing this, but it's International Women's Day
Yes.
this week, right? And so it's really nice to have a sort of a flurry of events based around that time of year. It's a bit sad we only get one day, but we'll take it, I guess. And
Yes.
anyway, yeah, no, so it's kind of worth mentioning that, the book is a celebration of women, and we should all kind of be allies in that, and it's especially in the world of sports, because I think up until recently, women's stories have been treated differently. So this is a real kind of movement, I think we can say. So I'm delighted to be part of it.
Yes. And where can we get a copy of your book?
Yeah, in Vancouver here, there's a lovely bookstore called Upstart and Crow on Granville Island, and so they're carrying my book. But I would, love for you to seek out your independent bookstore near in your neighborhood and ask them to order it in. I think that's always, I like to have people support local business. Of course, you can buy the book on Amazon and online as well, but keep it close to home and support your local business too. That'd be even better.
Yes. And what about the film festival? To check it
Mhm.
out for, maybe not now, but next time, like where would they go? Can they watch it virtually too, the films? And
The Vancouver Film Festival is
yes.
online, following the event here in town. Yeah. It's not, I don't work for them, but I know that the films will be online shortly after the events here, which is after this coming weekend. So people can definitely check it out online. And the festival falls pretty much at the same time every year, end of February, early March. So, if you missed it this year, I'm sure you can go onto their website shortly and get the dates for next year. It's a really great 9-10 day event here in town, and kind of all over different theaters, wonderful speakers, films, and workshops too. So I encourage you to check it out.
It was a pleasure speaking with you today, and congratulations. And I would love for you to come back and part two, Joanna.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Thanks so much, Christine. Really
Thank
enjoyed
thank you.
speaking with you.